there wasn't a one more thing. CoinX, you absolute troll. You have this 100% accurate track record. You'd never tweet anything for no reason. You've never just tweeted random quotes or just random things that happen to come to your mind. And then you tweet, but there's one more thing right before the iPhone event happens, and we're all just supposed to assume, nah, there wouldn't be one. Just because a leaker with a perfect track record tweeted there's one more thing just a couple weeks before the new iPhone event, why would there be a one more thing? You have now escalated from perfect track record to ultimate troll for getting us all excited, and now everything you tweet I'm gonna have far more skepticism with, because we have to consider that you could be trolling us. There wasn't one more thing, by the way. Welcome to the recap video, where I'll be talking about everything that they announced at today's event. There were a lot of disappointing things, to be honest, but there was also a lot of things we weren't expecting that I actually am very happy about. So it's kind of a good news, bad news type event. I think Apple's doing a lot of compromising in a market that definitely needs it. And overall, I'm happy and excited for the things they announced, but it just wasn't as much as we were all hoping it was going to be. So without further ado, let's begin. Okay, so for one, there was a 10.2-inch iPad. CoinX, you little okay, he was right about that. He said a 10.2-inch iPad was coming later in the year, and he is now right. This is the 7th generation, more affordable iPad at $329. It's the same footprint as the iPad Air, and even has a smart connector now, so you can dock it with the same smart keyboard you use with an iPad Air, except it's still rocking that old-fashioned A10 chip. So it's not a CPU boost. The iPad Air still has a laminated display, thinner bezels, A12 chip, whereas this new budget iPad still doesn't have a laminated display, but it is 10.2 inches, so it's a little bit bigger, but the bezels aren't as thin as we were all anticipating. And other than the smart connector being added, there's not really that much else different about it, other than, you know, it's $300 for education, so good deal, I guess. But yeah, that was pretty much all they changed with the iPad lineup. Then, of course, they talked about the Apple Watch Series 5, which I've been talking about on this channel a lot, suggesting that I'm not really that interested in it. I'm not really sure what they can add that can make it more interesting. And to be fair, they've added a few things that make it somewhat interesting, like the always on display, which I'm not really a big fan of, but simultaneously a lot of people were asking for that. That was a super heavily requested feature, so it makes sense that Apple adds it. And the prices have remained the same for the Series 5 that they were for the Series 4, except now, of course, we have the titanium and ceramic models. Both titanium and ceramic models are considered Apple Watch editions, even though the titanium model is basically the exact same pricing of the stainless steel models, which are still available. And now they're doing something really cool with the Series 5 that allows you to choose in the package what exact watch band you want with the watch you order. See, before you had to order a specific Apple Watch with a specific band, and you couldn't swap out that band. Now you can. You can choose whichever band you want to come with each individual watch. So there's a lot more customization now at checkout, and they're available to pre-order right now. As you're watching this, you can go buy a Series 5, and while pickup options are not available currently, they will start delivering on Friday, September 20th. So got a little bit of time before they actually start delivering to us, but yes, you can buy them now. They also added a compass to the Series 5, so for those of you who need a compass complication, I guess you have that option now. Water resistance is the same, even with the always-on display. Apple has stated that the battery life is just as good as the Series 4, and they also lowered the price of the Series 3 to $199, so we were correct in assuming that the Series 4 would not be sticking around, because it has way too many similarities with the Series 5, so yes, the Series 4 is now gone. They don't sell it anymore, but a lot more models and finishes and configurations are available with the Series 5. Now, before we get talking into the main attraction, the iPhone, we have to, of course, bring up a little bit of updates about the services and iOS and watchOS launch dates. So a bunch of things are launching on September 19th, the Thursday before iPhone launch day. So few things to remember. iOS 13 will be available for everyone. It will officially be out of beta on September 19th, as will watchOS 6. Apple will also have Apple Arcade available on September 19th for $5 a month, and there's a free trial of 30 days. So you can try it out for a month, see if you like it, and then decide to keep paying for it. iPadOS, for some reason, has been delayed until the end of the month, so you're not getting iPadOS until September 30th, and macOS Catalina at this point still says coming in October, so they still don't have a launch date for that. So Apple Arcade is finally coming. The $5 prediction was accurate, and based on the games they've shown, I'm not really sold on it. I don't think it's really going to be something I'm willing to pay for. However, the big turnaround, the big surprise, I think, at this event was Apple TV Plus. MacRumors had earlier leaked that it would start at $9.99, which, you know, is pretty high considering the competition and everything, so I have very vocally disgraced Apple TV Plus and said, I don't think this is going to go very well, especially at that price point. But it wasn't actually as bad as we thought it was going to be. It's in fact half the price of what we were expecting. Apple TV Plus is $4.99 a month. $5, and by the way, both these $5 subscriptions for Apple Arcade and Apple TV Plus, that includes family sharing. So if you're in an Apple ID family, everyone gets it for you just buying that one $5 subscription. Everyone attached to your Apple ID also gets access to those perks. And the biggest surprise that I think was a huge winner for Apple TV Plus is anyone who buys a new iPhone, new Apple TV, new iPod, new Apple product basically, will automatically get the offer of Apple TV Plus for 1 year included at no extra cost, meaning that all the new people buying, new Apple Watches, new iPhones, or new iPads, even the $300 iPad, you get Apple TV Plus included for a year with family sharing for free, which I thought was a really compelling offer because clearly a lot of people are buying new Apple products all the time. I'm definitely getting some soon, so that means I'll have Apple TV Plus for free for a year, and yeah, I'll have an option to watch some of these shows and see if any of them are good. I still think the collection is incredibly limited, given its no back catalog and its only originals. I find that extremely limiting, but now that they've priced it at $4.99, and that's cheaper than Disney Plus, which I get it, Disney Plus has a way larger catalog still, but Disney doesn't really have a good, compelling way to give people a year for free other than, pay for 3 years of Disney Plus in advance. And there's a lot of people who buy new Apple products, especially in this time of the year. So I think that's a pretty good deal considering how many people buy new iPhones and new iPads and new Apple Watches. All of them are going to get Apple TV Plus for free for a year. I mean, that's most of Apple's demographic, right? The free trial is only 7 days though. So I guess if you're not planning on buying a new Apple product, that 7-day free trial is pretty weak. You only have 7 days to see if you like a few of these shows, and then you have to start paying $4.99 a month. But still, the price point was way cheaper than I think anyone was anticipating. Apple TV Plus will officially be available on November 1st, and once you buy a new Apple product from here on out, that 1 year for free is redeemable for a 3-month period. So people who are buying iPhones or iPads right now, for some reason, you have 3 months to decide if you want to redeem that Apple TV Plus annual free pass. Okay, that covers the services. Now we officially get to talk about the new iPhones, which have terrible names, okay? There's a lot of things I like about the new iPhones, but the naming was just completely botched, and it is absolutely horrible. So there's iPhone 11, which I don't really hate that much. Coming from 10R and how a lot of people would say XR was very confusing. Now that we're moving away from Roman numerals and it's just iPhone 11, that's very easy, rolls off the tongue, very simple to understand. And also the iPhone 11 Pro and iPhone 11 Pro Max. Even though that's the name, iPhone 11 Pro Max, Apple still never said those words together during this entire keynote because they know how stupid of a name that is. So while I'm very excited for the iPhone 11 Pro Max, I'm not excited for that overly complicated naming scheme that is going to age horribly because next year we're going to have iPhone 11s, 11s Max, 11s Pro Max, but given next year is supposed to be a form factor upgrade, it'll probably just be iPhone 12. But anyway, let's talk about the regular iPhone 11 because that's kind of the entry level, that's the most popular iPhone. It has a dual camera setup as we expected, except we were wrong in assuming that dual camera was going to be a telephoto. Luckily, it's actually an ultra wide, and the photos and videos they showed with it do look amazing. You have the ability to record 4K at 60 with both lenses, which a lot of other triple camera or ultra wide camera supporting Androids can't say they have 4K at 60. For whatever reason, there's been a ton of triple camera and dual camera setups with ultra wides, but they can't do high res and high frame rate video on them. I don't know why. But also, Apple is combating Google's night sight with their own night photography mode, and it does look very promising based on the examples they showed. It looks like even in very, very dark situations, the new iPhones will be able to collect a lot of data with long exposure and take really, really good pictures at nighttime. So Google, you should be scared, mostly because the iPhone XR sold really, really well last year, and now the iPhone 11, which has an ultra-wide lens, which the Pixel 4 will not, it's a dual camera but with a telephoto, it has the night sight performance, it has Face ID biometrics, which have reportedly been improved. They didn't talk much about Face ID on stage, but several times they say it works from more angles and it's faster than it was before, so it's not branded like Face ID second generation or anything, but they did say on stage that Face ID is improving. The battery life is an hour longer than the XR was, so longest battery life in an iPhone is even longer than it was. And the best thing I think about the iPhone 11, most people were excited to see the starting price. It starts at $699, a whole $50 cheaper than the year-old iPhone XR. Even though this phone has way more features, it has better water resistance, IP68 now, which is rated for 2 meters for 30 minutes. They have Dolby Atmos support on the speakers, so the speakers should be louder. Definitely better camera improvements. The front-facing camera is a 12 megapixel shooter now with a lot wider field of view so that when you turn the XR landscape. You can fit more people on the inside, plus 4K at 60 support for the front-facing camera, not just the rear-facing cameras, both of them, the night performance mode, and the A13 chip, way better CPU, all of these things added, and they were still able to make the phone cheaper. How did they do that? I have no idea. I have no clue how they're factoring in the import tariffs coming later this year, which is going to take a big hit on Apple's profit, but they were still able to make this phone cheaper and also add all these other features. Obviously comes in new colors. Blue is sadly gone, but we now have purple and green. They're very light shades of those colors. They're not very saturated, but most people I think are going to like them. It's the same liquid retina display as last year, so all the people who are complaining that it's not 1080p, I guess get to keep complaining about that, even though most people do not give a crap, because as long as the pixel density is good enough and the screen is large enough, it doesn't matter what the screen resolution is. As long as the screen looks good, and most people who have the iPhone XR are perfectly fine with their screens. So that summarizes the iPhone 11, which I think was a big shock for a lot of people to see that price actually go down. I definitely wasn't anticipating that, and as a great bonus, Apple is still selling the iPhone XR, XS, XS Max, they're completely gone, but the XR now starts at $599, $600 starting today compared to yesterday when brand new from Apple, the iPhone XR would have cost $750. They knocked $150 off the price just after 1 year of it being available. So personally, I think the XR might cannibalize a lot of the iPhone 11 sales, but either way, this is great for the consumer. They have more options now, and they can get a phone for $600 with Face ID, with portrait mode, with a really great battery life, and just an overall solid, really powerful, really great performing smartphone at only $600. I think that's actually going to sell really, really well into 2020. The iPhone 8 now starts at $450, which was much cheaper than I thought they were going to price it at, and the iPhone 8 Plus is still around for $550. So these phones got a lot cheaper than I was anticipating, meaning that there's going to be very compelling and powerful iPhones available for many more price ranges than before. Now to probably the best thing about the event, or you may all have different preferences, but my favorite thing was the stupidly named iPhone 11 Pro. While a lot of people are going to be annoyed that these don't have the Pro features that they deem worthy of the Pro naming, whether it be USB-C charging or a Pro motion display, the triple camera does look really, really impressive to me. Plus, they're putting extreme dynamic range, the same type of tech we saw in the Pro Display XDR this year, into the iPhone Pros, now with a 2,000,000:1 contrast ratio and much brighter displays at 1200 nits peak. So the displays, while they're looking the same and the screen resolutions are the same, dynamic range and brightness is getting much better this year with both sizes. Sadly, the telephoto lens didn't really get much improvement. It's still a 12 megapixel, it's still a 2x zoom, it's not anything further than that, but the ultra wide, of course, is still rocking on the iPhone 11 Pro as well, giving you 3 different options to work with in the camera app, and the user interface changes for the camera app across the 11 and the 11 Pro do look really, really good. And probably the coolest thing about the new iPhone Pros is the increased battery life. So now, unlike last year when the XR had the best battery life because, you know, it had a lower screen resolution so it could last longer throughout the day, now the iPhone 11 Pro Max, the most expensive of the new ones, it now has the longest battery life we've ever seen in an iPhone, with 5 hours longer than the XS Max, which I don't know about you guys, but for me, the XS Max usually got me through the day no problem. Now I'm gonna have 5 hours extra, and the 2 sizes for the new iPhone Pro are the same price as before. So 11 Pro is at $999, 11 Pro Max $1,099. They could have very easily risen the price here, and I'm super glad they didn't. Another long-awaited feature with the iPhone 11 Pros is they're finally including fast charging with 18-watt charge bricks, and of course USB-C to Lightning included in the box, which is long overdue. Sadly, fast chargers are still not included with the regular iPhone 11. I know that sucks, but I think for the people who are interested in the OLED models who are buying the iPhone Pro, they're going to be very happy that now, using the cables included with the phone, they can still charge their iPhone from their MacBook and have that USB-C feature, which Apple honestly should have done a long, long time ago. But it's good to see that they can add all these features to the new iPhones and simultaneously keep the prices the same so that we don't have to worry about paying more this year. I know it's different in other countries. I've already had a bunch of people tell me that in England, the prices for the Pros are higher, or the iPhone 11 is cheaper. In Australia, it's all over the place. I'm just referring to the US demographic because that's the one I know best, and the 11 Pro seems really, really compelling to me. As stupid as a name as it is, the battery life improvements were way more than I thought they were going to be. The ultra-wide lens looks dope, and I'm so glad you can shoot 4K at 60 on all 3 lenses because I've run into the issue of not having that in the past. Night mode looks really, really good for low-light photography, finally catching up with all of the Android competitors this year. Face ID working from more angles is exciting. I'm really interested in testing that out and comparing previous generation Face ID to this generation. A13 chip is reportedly a decent upgrade over the A12, both in CPU and GPU performance, so I'm very happy to see that as well. And of course, the design is a little bit bit different. You know, we've got that centered logo, even though there's no bilateral wireless charging, which Quo predicted yesterday actually was scrapped entirely because either it wasn't efficient enough or it was too expensive. I'm not upset about there not being bilateral wireless charging because I had it on the Galaxy S10 and there were very few circumstances where that was helpful. Usually my AirPods battery is doing just fine. It's the iPhone that needs to charge at the end of the day when I'm done. So the fact that you would charge your AirPods with your iPhone is not an incredibly practical use case for me. But that pretty much covers everything they announced. I'm sure there's some things I'm glossing over, but there were definitely a lot of things we missed. Obviously, the one more thing, which CoinX got me so excited about, that was just a troll move, didn't happen. There was no new AirPods and no tile tracker, which we've seen so much code and hints to. I don't think the projects have been scrapped entirely. I just think it's not ready yet and they're planning on launching it later. So definitely going to be an October event. I expect MacBook Pro upgrades at that one, and maybe they'll announce the tile tracker next month or something like that. I'm not sure, but I think there's most definitely going to be a keynote in October, given all of the things we're expecting to come out that didn't come out. But overall, yeah, the prices I think were the most shocking things because Apple's known for pricing things absurdly high, and the fact that Arcade TV Plus had some really good deals and the iPhone 11 actually getting cheaper while gaining more features. The iPhone 11 Pro luckily staying the same and having really good battery life improvements, color display popping more than it does before. Of course, all these new iPhones have more matte finishes now. Fast chargers included with the 11 Pro, even though I'm not going to use them. I'm just glad they're shipping with them. And of course, that new weird green color for the 11 Pro, which some people may be into. I definitely know some of my friends that would love that kind of midnight green slight color, but probably not for me. I think I'll be sticking with silver again this year, but I may change my mind. If I see the green in person and it's actually really cool, I may just get that. But anywho, let me know what you guys thought of the event. You know, there's a lot of exciting announcements that I think people were very excited for, and a lot of disappointments for sure. So I can see people falling either way with this event as a whole. Definitely not my favorite Apple's ever done. The naming is still terrible, and there's a lot more we were expecting than what we actually got. No new AirPods, ProPods, anything like that. So yeah, all that good stuff. Feel free to hit me up over on Twitter or join me on Discord, and we can talk more about it there. This is your Apple Sheep here. I'll see you guys in the next one.